was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.
It's always a surprise what happens at the end of the promos. Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to Comic Book Team Up with RJ and me. How's everybody doing? Oh, we got Vaz already here. How you doing, Vaz? And we got Zach Tan with the drive-by blessing. How you doing? RJ and I kind of got our signals messed up. I thought we were going to stream last night. He thought we were going to stream tonight, so we're streaming tonight. How's everybody doing? You there, RJ? Looks like RJ's having some difficulty. So he was saying that he was having some difficulty with his end of the computer. So I might as well take this opportunity to see if RJ comes back. Talk about the Heroic Tales Christmas special. I'll make this big. So I don't have a trailer for this, but this is the Heroic Tales Christmas special. This is on Fund My Comic right now. It's 2 stories in one. Yes, I know it's June, but I need time to get it printed and get it shipped. It is nearly complete. Renzo just sent me, he's got 2 more pages left to draw, and then it's it. It's done. So we're almost finished, and I'm going to have this. I'm going to ship this out to you starting late November, early December, so everybody will have this in time for Christmas. What is it? It's a 16-page King Fu story called Blue Christmas, and a 6-page Patriarch called Christmas Magic, where Santa Claus, Patriarch tells us secrets that he learned from Santa Claus himself about Christmas. It's a flip book, so turn it over, you get the front and back. When I run this on Kickstarter in July, I'm going to do a relaunch on Christmas in July. I don't think I'm going to do the flip book. I think so this is a Fund My Comic exclusive right now, so get it now, because there'll be 2 editions, one with the Andres Esparza artwork, the Patriarch and Santa Claus, and then the Renzo Rodriguez cover. So and I'm going to shut this down when I launch on Kickstarter. Maybe I won't. Give you a choice. So here we go. Like I said, it's a flip book. Look at that great cover by Andres. Andres is a newcomer. As far as I know, this is his first comic book that he drew. It's so good. And Renzo, every time I show Renzo's artwork, I say it's the best work he's ever done. But when he's getting better and better and better, it's the truth. It's the truth. It's so good. Here's internal pages by Andres. Look how good that is. And of course, the colors by Oscar are just amazing. Look at that. Look at that. So good. And then we got the King Fu pages. King Fu, he goes to Laos to rescue a missing Vietnam soldier. Here, look at and then the add-ons. We got the Mary Sue T-shirt. We got the Patriarch T-shirt. The King Fu hoodie. The bundle. This is all 3 of my comics for $25. And then this is, I can't believe that this is, Renzo will draw King Fu, and then he'll draw whatever you want over here. Your face, your character's face. It's goofing on that picture of Elvis and Richard Nixon. So there you go. Check it out. The King Fu Christmas special, and there. All right. Oh, are you back, RJ?
I'm back. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here tonight. I'm having a little trouble digitizing a little bit. Tell me if I'm cutting out at all, will you?
You're fine right now. You're fine right now. We got Zactan saying, have a blessed day. We got Vaz over on your channel. Old Dirty Fatty is here. How you doing, Old Dirty Fatty? Can't hear RJ, but we can hear. Well, can you hear RJ now? And Alexander, you haven't replied to my email yet. Yeah, I've been working. Yeah, I've been working. You know, I'll get to it. So everybody, how's everybody doing? RJ, how you doing? Anything, you have a topic you want to talk about tonight? Can hear, but
don't have a topic right at the moment. Actually, I'm still trying to make sure that we got a good connection here. I can only hear once every 5 words or so, but
yeah, you just cut out. Yeah, RJ is cutting out. Let us know in the chat if you can hear me, or if you can hear RJ, or if you can hear none of us. I guess if you can hear none of us, we won't know. But let us know. Vaz says can hear, but with random robotic voice. Is that RJ? Is that me? Because it is beautiful weather here in New York. This was like the most perfect day ever. Beautiful blue sky, sun was shining, and it wasn't too hot. And no,
give me a minute. I'm going to see if I can fix this.
Okay.
Be right back.
Okay, RJ's going to leave. So, oh yeah, RJ's having some difficulty. Well, you know, when you live in a cave up in the Yukon territory, the internet is difficult to get to you. So he's doing what he can. He's got to get on his bicycle and pedal to get some electricity. So, hey, Arkham's here. How you doing? How you doing, Arkham? How's everything? How's the new job? John is coming in clear. Thank you. Okay. So, anybody reading any new comics? I read, it's kind of a bittersweet. I put it on Twitter today, but I've been reading Miss Tree. I discovered Miss Tree from DC Comics. They had Miss Tree quarterly on DC Comics, and I read those first, and then I got all the back issues. I got the back issues a long time ago, but I finally read issue 50. I finished up my back issues of Miss Tree. This is the last. I read the DC quarterly, and there was a couple of specials. So as far as I know, I read all of the Miss Tree comics, and it's like I always have like a sense of accomplishment. I know it's still silly, but I always have a sense of accomplishment when I read all of my comics. So, but it's sad. I'm done with Miss Tree. You know, I got to look. I think there's a Miss Tree novel that I got to read. But I love the series, and I got to look at the DC comics because she got shot and she was on a ventilator in this last issue. She survived, obviously, because the continuity is really strong. And then the DC quarterly, Miss Tree quarterly, I think there was only 4 or 5 issues. She was a lot, but I don't remember if she was recovered from being shot. RJ, you there?
I think I got it. I got it.
Cool.
I don't know what the problem was, but for some reason I had to reboot the entire thing and turn everything down. I don't know what's going on tonight, but I think it's StreamYard for the life of me. I had some new setup when I went into StreamYard, and this old browser has old StreamYard. So
Uh,
I don't know. God only knows.
well, what happened was I set up the stream last night. RJ said to me yesterday that you weren't going to be able to stream on Wednesdays for the next couple of weeks. So I said, how about tonight? And then I set up the stream, and I think we just got our times crossed. So I sat here till like 1 a.m. last night going, RJ.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I was reading comics anyway. Big deal. So I'm glad that we're streaming tonight, but we'll figure it out when we're going to stream next week.
I'm setting up my, let's say, summer comic reading area right now. It's
Okay.
like I'm moving all the boxes down from the attic and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing spring cleaning. It's like these boxes go into the bedroom where I can get at them like right off and read.
What do you got? Anything interesting lined up?
The box I took down was basically independent stuff, and what I was looking through was Next Men right off.
Oh, so you're reading old stuff. Okay.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, this just came in yesterday. This is my monthly comics, which is actually a lot for me. So this is all new comics. I figured while we're talking, I'll show off some of them, like the new Heavy Metal. So do you get anything new?
I haven't gotten anything new for a while besides the independent books. So nothing from the comic shop. We do have a secondary comic shop that, like I said, opened up here, but it's more like a Funko Pop kind of manga place and things like that. It doesn't really have a whole lot of new books.
So I got Mark Polton's Rather Than Pain. You know, that's one of us in the indie comic. And then what's his name? Clint Holinsky's Bad Guys. But I'm not sure if I want to get any more of this. It's because all he does is like swipe from other people. You know, like I can't help but notice it now. Somebody pointed it out, and I was happy being blissfully unaware. But now that I see that it's just like literally lifted panels from other comics, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Let's see. What else did I get? Oh yeah, Vampirist Camilla. This is I bought these thinking it was Warren magazine coming back. Oh, this is very thin. Jeez, that's cutting on the paper. But as you can see, it's Warrant magazine. So I got tricked, but I don't mind. It's horror. It's not as good as the Warren magazines, but those masters are all passed on, so we can't. But man, this Heavy Metal is thick. Oh, Vaz says the new Heavy Metal was a letdown. Got some good stories here, but mostly modern audience. Oh no, don't tell me that. That's what killed the last series. Maybe I haven't read it. This what issue is this? This is number 5, so I still got 5 issues to read. Hey, Zaid Comics is here. How you doing? Check out The Man with No Strings. The Man with No Strings. And I gotta talk to you about getting my. He's got a printer. He's gonna make a banner for me for comic conventions, because I'm going to be off all of August. So I want to do some comic conventions in August. So will that give me enough time, Phil? Check out Phil Diaz. And he took some pictures. He looks like King Fu. So he took some pictures of himself. I gotta find that. It's funny. Where is it? He took some pictures of himself as King Fu. Oh, here it is, right here. Check this out. I'm going to show this. What am I doing wrong? Of course, whatever buttons I push are the wrong buttons, because that's me. There we go. Phil, do you have more pictures from that? It looks like you have a great costume. That's the only picture. I love if you got a big one and you send it over, maybe I'll make a cosplay cover or a poster or something. But look at that. He looks just like King Fu. There you go. Thank you, Phil. That's so cool. I couldn't continue due to the Diamond bankruptcy, so I only got issue 1. Yeah. The Diamond bankruptcy, the repercussions of that are spilling everywhere. I'll have to go through the pics and grab some best ones. Cool. Thank you. That'll be fun. I'm opening up this package. I'll just flip through some comics that I just got for the month. Yeah, I got to reread Next Men. I remember really, really liking it. And, I got to read the John Byrne OMAC. You keep talking about it.
I've been posting, funny, and well, I keep on posting things on X, but I gravitate towards John Byrne. I have no idea why. It's just so many pictures of John Byrne that I keep on posting. Fantastic Four. I did some from a Superman run just today. And what else? There was a whole bunch of stuff. I always just run across it. There's a beautiful Art Adams fantasy piece that I put up the other day.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. So good. Arkham says, if you kids want to laugh, go look at GQ's Odyssey photo shoot. You know what? I got to say that I'm getting discouraged from social media and everything like that. Everything is just horrible right now. Like, I don't know if it's me, but I only follow, if this is going to sound, my wife will get mad at me because she hates when I say things like this, but I only follow what I follow. So like, I decided I'm not interested in the Odyssey. So like, I don't see it. I don't look at it right now. Comicsgate, everybody, they're all fighting with each other. They're all, like they're circling the wagons, but they're all shooting inside the circle, if that makes sense, at each other. And I just don't care. People keep asking me, oh, well, who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong? And I said, I can't comment because I absolutely have no idea. And I don't want to know. There was another big controversy that somebody was asking me about, but I just not interested. So no offense, Arkham. Arkham knows I love him, but I'm just like, I just think like the demoralization beams are being shot. Like they turned them up to 11 and they're just trying to make us depressed. So the only thing I could do is just, I turned off all of the signals. I'm kind of in my own little bubble right now. Kind of like it.
I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you, John, because the Odyssey and Greek stuff is my wheelhouse, but I'm just not even paying attention to it. Like I said in my my Saturday live stream a couple weeks ago, is like, it's kind of low hanging fruit at this point to criticize something like that. Just move on and do something better.
Yeah, we already talked about it. We already talked about it. At this point, it's beating a dead horse. So Classy to me, oh, that's a kitty cat, right? That's a cat. That avatar. I'm such a wuss. My wife is like, she sees me on the phone. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? It's so important. I show the phone. It's all cat videos. I've been looking on Twitter. It's like cat videos. I was laughing today because there was a video of a woman showing her cat, and this cat, it just looked arrogant. You ever see a cat and you just like, that cat looks arrogant, and it's just sitting there all arrogant looking, and she says, I can't get my cat to drink water. This is literally the only way I get my cat to drink water. And she's squirting a water pistol into the cat's mouth, and she goes, I can't even go away because I can't get a cat sitter to get my cat to drink water. I was like, that cat is just found a way to control you, right? That cat is like, we used to be worshipped in Egypt. Well, I'm going to be worshipped in this house. So that's what I watch all day long. Anyway, Classy to me says, I finally made it to a live stream. Well, welcome. Thank you. I'm half asleep. Me too. I'm right now. I'm riding a wave of caffeine from coffee. I'm exhausted myself at work this week, but ready, chill, listen to RJ John talk. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know, don't follow me, and I'm working nights this week. So I just got home, took a quick shower, and my sleep schedule's messed up. But I'm only doing it 1 week. I worked 46 hours overtime last week, and I was like, I'm beat, I'm aching. So my foreman must have been like, I'm going to give you a break. You're going to do this standby shift where I just literally just go to work. And the guys who are welding overnight, they're doing some like dangerous arc welding. They blow circuits. So there's just an electrician there to flip circuits if they need powers. So far, it's Wednesday. They haven't called me. I've just been reading comics at work. Not a bad gig if you can get it. Go to work, get paid overtime, read comic books, and order Chinese food because I get bored, so I eat.
I just noticed, anybody else in the chat noticed this, but John is wearing a blue T-shirt, so he's medical, and he looks like he should be in sick bay right now.
Right, I'm medical, but it's funny because when I put this on, I know you would be wearing the blue. I want to wear the Command Gold, but I couldn't find my Command Gold shirt. So I'm wearing this for you.
It's funny. I ran across somebody followed me today, and I always check out everybody who follows me on X just to see what they're posting and things like that. And he had pictures of, it was from like the 1970s. There was a line of clothing done by William Shatner that looks like something you would get in Star Trek.
Oh,
The World, right?
Yeah, it's funny because William Shatner said that's not real. That's AI generated.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but I believed it. You know, it looked like 70s fashion, you know.
Yeah.
But he pointed out inaccuracies in the date and everything like that. You know, William Shatner is like, he's very arrogant, so he doesn't like wrong things about him, if that makes sense. But I saw it and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want to get those clothes. I'd wear those. and then a couple of hours later, I saw him responding that it's AI, which just proves I don't believe anything anymore. RJ, I see things and I'm like, I don't know if this is real or not. Like, you know, me and my wife will see something that, like, we have a comment, you know, like to ourselves, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is so wrong. And now I'm like we both look at each other like, I'm going to wait to find out if this is accurate. You know, like, it's what you should do. But now it's like, I'll see a picture of something. I'm like, I don't know if that's a real thing or not.
Well, what I do right now, and I know this is not going to last for very much longer, but let's say I run across something which is a new piece of art to me, and I want to try to repost it. What I do is search with a image search engine to see if someone else has posted it and where it came from, if at all possible, and where the artist who the artist was, who actually originally made this. Usually, I'm looking for something that's at the very least earlier in 2004, 2005.
I remember like 15, I don't know, up until about 10 years ago, like on the internet, you'd see a picture of a girl and they'd be like, do you think she's hot? And I'm like, that's a trap, because that's like a man. That's a transgendered man, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not commenting. And now when people are like, oh, you like this art? You think this art is good? I'm like, that's a trap. This is AI art. And somebody is trying to get me to admit that I like AI art. So it's like, I'm like getting like scared to even comment on anything anymore, if that makes sense, if people understand what I'm talking about. Oh, I thought of you again, RJ. I was cleaning out my comics, and I remember I told you that I have a bunch of long boxes of comics that I haven't read yet.
Yep.
Guess what comic I've never read? The Cosmic Odyssey. You've mentioned it like 10 times.
Really?
It's still in my unread comic, so I'm going to pull that out and read that this weekend.
Beautiful Mike Mignola book all the way through.
Right. You keep talking about how that's the comic that makes you not like Jon Stewart.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So now
that plus Mosaic.
Yeah, I read Mosaic, which made me think that I read Cosmic Odyssey, but I that's Jim Starlin wrote it and Mike Mignola drew it, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Jim Starlin. That sounds correct, but I wouldn't be 100%.
And Vaz says, I don't know if there's a different Byrne in the business, but cover C for the new Elseworld, Supergirl Survived 3 is from Byrne. Don't look like his usual style, though. Well, John Byrne's art, it is I hate to say it, but it's not as good as it used to be. He's getting old. But I haven't seen this, so I can't comment. And as far as I know, like he drew Supergirl, like a new Supergirl cover. That's cool.
Oh, let's go off on that direction, John. Sure. If anybody wants to know, every once in a while, I see people post things like, has John's Byrne art ever gotten worse? And I could tell you the exact, if I could pull it up right now, which I can't because I had to close out all my windows, but I could tell you the exact issue if I could look through my backstock right now of when he started to not give a damn. And it would be basically about issue 1 to 3, I think it was, of Namor. And that's when he completely changed his style to something much lighter and much less labor intensive than he would be before that point.
I remember he did Doom Patrol, and it didn't last too long. And to me, his art was lacking. I don't know if it was the inker or if he just didn't give a damn. And then he kind of just went off into the West, you know, and haven't seen him. So now I'm excited to get these new X-Men comics.
Funny thing, well, the thing was, last time, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is a couple of years ago, but I had a conversation at the comic shop with the guy who owns it, talking about how John Byrne was at that point doing fan fiction stories about Star Trek. Based upon art pieces was basically what he was doing at that time. And I know the guy who ran the comic shop was like, the greatest artist of our time is just wasting his time doing fan fiction for Star Trek.
Yeah, who knows? Can he draw? Does he? I'm sure he's rich. I don't know. He does whatever he wants. But this made me laugh. Damn it, Jim! I'm an electrician, not a doctor. Old printed comics are the real deal. Absolutely. Oh, speaking of John Byrne, I got right here on top. Oh, cool. But I got this. I don't really like Space 1999, the TV show, but it's some of John Byrne's early work.
Is that the magazine size or
this
is the comic size one?
From Charlton. And if you can see, it's autographed by Joe Stanton. I bought it from a back issue store, and it came autographed. So that's cool.
Because I have some of those issues, but the ones I have are magazine sized with a cardstock cover.
Oh,
and I think they're either the same printing as those, but I'm not 100% again.
Yeah, this issue number 1 is Joe Stanton. I think John Byrne picks up around issue 3. But I will say the Eagle ships are some of my favorite spaceship designs, although this show is just, oh God, it is. It's funny because I remember arguing with my cousins when I was a kid. I like Star Trek, the original Star Trek, as you can see, but they like Space 1999. And Space 1999 on the surface looks like more science-y, where Star Trek is, the original Kirk and Leonard Nimoy looks a little hokey to begin with. So they were just like, this is such better science fiction. Well, I sat down on it, for those of you who know, I broke my neck, 2 years ago, and I was out of work for 8 months. I did nothing but read comics and watch TV. I watched Space 1999. It is the worst science fiction ever. Just watch it. It makes no sense. There's an explosion, the moon flies away, and then the moon's at light speed. It's hitting different planets. How is it a garbage explosion sending the moon at hyper speeds? It just, oh God, it just drives me nuts. Then the steer in the moon, it's just bad. It's just terrible.
I remember the kind of things that they would do was, I think it was second season when they had the shapeshifter come on, and she would shapeshift into like a room full of plants. And it's like, I'm not sure if that worked correctly because they were trying to conserve oxygen because everybody else was dying, right?
There was a couple of episodes that I really liked. And I, because I love the sets, I love the way everything looked. But the problem is, this woman right here, I can't think of the actress's name, but they were really married. This woman is about as charismatic as a doorknob. She has no expressions. She's as mean as it's to say. She's not that attractive. She's okay looking as like your third grade teacher, but she's not attractive as a lead. So. And I'm supposed to believe that all the space aliens are falling in love with her. You know what I mean? Like Martin Landau is a cool looking guy. He looks like a commanding presence, but she's just a Q-tip. She's just, and it's me because I like her. She's a nice woman. I got nothing against her. Jewel says, "What do you mean original Star Trek? There's only one and the cartoon. A man after my own heart, and only 3 Star Wars movies." Hey, Jim O'Reilly's here. Good. Hello, gentlemen. I hope all's well. Everything is well. Oh, that's funny. Jim, he did one of your chapters for your comic, right?
Yeah, he did the first of chapter 1 for Crumb the Destroyer,
and that's
and some of the extras as well. So,
and that's his image right there. That for your avatar, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the first character sketches we did for King.
Cool. Good to see you, Jim. How's everything, Jim? So, talking about plot holes in science fiction. Somebody mentioned this today, and I remember it bothering me as a kid, but then I forgot about it. But Empire Strikes Back, okay? Big plot in Empire Strikes Back is the Millennium Falcon has no hyperdrive, right? So, how did they get to Bespin without a hyperdrive? It should have taken them years, right? If they're flying at sublight speeds, unless they were in the Bespin solar system, they never should have got there. But Star Wars, that's why I always say Star Wars is science fantasy. Star Trek is science fiction. Even though, another person said, I think it was Graham Dolan said it always bothered him when Porkins is getting shot to tell them to eject. Well, he's eject and die because he doesn't have a helmet on or anything. He just has goggles. But whatever. And then how did they just have a mask with no pressure suits or anything like that when they were inside that big cave worm in the asteroid? Yeah.
I was thinking about Space 1999. At the very least, you got like 70s science fiction where you had actors that actually look like normal people. One of the big. I was just talking to somebody, a friend of a friend. We were talking about good horror movies, and was going through my stack of stuff because they're here. And I said, "You ever see The Thing?" And they had never seen The Thing. She's fairly young, and I said, "Well, this is just the second one. Go watch the first one. The second one is barely okay. But the big problem I find, and not just me, a lot of other people, with the second thing is you have all these people which are every last character, it looks like Twisted Steel and sex appeal. Whereas you go to the original thing and you got a bunch of guys who are balding and overweight, and their hair is all sticking out every which way, look like they just come off a job site.
When you say The Thing, because the original one was the black and white one.
No, I'm talking about John Carpenter.
Yeah, the John Carpenter one. Yeah, that's the second one. Yeah, I love that movie because everybody looks like blue collar workers.
Exactly.
That looks like I go to work on my job, except it's in Antarctica. That's what everybody looks like. I love when they, like one of my things. What show is it? I'm watching Chaos. It's just awful. I do not recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's supposed to be what if the Greek gods are still worshipped right now. Apparently, there's no good looking actors in because it's a BBC show. It's everybody. The one attractive actress is Billie Piper. She was, she played Rose in Doctor Who, and they make her ugly. Oh God, but like for men, like you can make men not attractive, but as long as they're masculine and believable, and plus these are a bunch of guys on a weather base in Antarctica. I think that movie is just great casting. Like they look like welders and truck drivers and everything. Yeah, I do. I really love that movie. I think it's one of the few perfect movies ever made. What does this say? As a Zoomer, I must affirm that there are 6 Star Wars movies, and then Disney made a 7th called World War. I don't know. I heard rumors that there was prequels, but there's not even prequels. There's 3 Star Wars movies. Actually, there's 2.5. Once they leave Jabba's palace, Return of the Jedi goes downhill. I've noticed a trend that I don't like. Various cartoons that were originally made with stop motion and now being made with cheap digital. Yes, all animation is just so bad lately. So I go watch the original. Well, I guess the only Akira from like what was that 1989? I think that was the peak of animation. The Fleischer Superman back in the 40s, and then Akira from Japan. It's almost like we lost that technology. 88. I 2 years ago I went with Vaughn Coleman to New York Comic Con, and then afterwards we went to a bar. I'm so out of touch with what you youngins do. To me, a bar is just a bar. Everybody's listening to Lynyrd Skynyrd, whether you're in New York or whatever, and there's an old guy doing shots. You know what I mean? You went into this bar and it was all anime. I was like, oh my God, times have changed. So that they were playing their kids. So I'm not much of a drinker, so I had like a beer to be sociable, and then I just sat down and I watched Akira, and I was just taken back by how good the animation was. I took it for granted when it came out. I saw it like 4 or 5 times, throughout the late 80s, early 90s, and I haven't seen it since then. So good.
I would say agree to some degree, but I wouldn't call Akira the peak, I would say probably Vampire Hunter D. Although I'll say to everybody else in the comments, and oh, you pile on me every time I say this, there is one anime that is actually well done for digital, and that's just because of the subject matter, and that would be Land of the Lustrous. If anybody's out there knows that, and no, I didn't read the manga or the comics. I just watched the anime because that one, at the very least, doesn't have the let's just say progressive nonsensical stuff that the original source material, funny enough, had.
Yeah. First off, I would say hello from Peru. Thank you for watching. Wow, all the way from Peru. Cool. Some great visual effects for the times. Yeah. They didn't make her ugly. Doctor Who was like 20 years ago. Well, Rose is still, the actress Billie Piper is still attractive, even though she had some plastic surgery. But they literally put this makeup on her face, and they put this like gunk on her teeth because she's playing a homeless woman. You rewatch Akira a lot. RJ, you talking about Bloodlust?
Vampire Hunter D? No, I think you're talking. I think you're thinking of a different series, because I'm not entirely sure. There's two different series for vampires that I'm thinking of, depending on. I'm not entirely sure. I think Vampire Hunter D is the only title that it has. It might have a subtitle for Bloodlust. I'm not sure, but it's the original, not the original. It's the second in that series. You know, where the guy, the vampire hunter, has a talking hand and all that kind of stuff.
Excuse me. It's late for me. I've been up, even though I didn't have to go to work until 2. I still woke up at 6 because once your body's used to waking up at 4, 6 is sleeping in. Yeah. I don't know much about anime. I don't dislike it. It's just that, my age group, we didn't really have anime. Back when I was a teen, it was called Japanimation. I wonder if I said Japanimation now, if people would get offended or whatever. But that's what it was called.
I told this story before, but I can remember when at the Blockbuster, it was in the back row with all the naughty bits.
I saw the latest Superman trailer. No, I didn't. I that's another thing. If I'm not interested in something, like I'm not interested in this Supergirl movie. Matter of fact, as a blanket statement, I'm not interested in any new superhero movies, cartoons, whatever. I've adopted the stance that I've been burnt too many times. Like, I'm not going to be Charlie Brown, and I'm not going to be Lucy Van Pelted all the time. I've adopted the stance that when the movie comes out, if it's good, people will tell me it's good, then I'll see it. But I'm not one of these people that like watches the trailer to hate watch. I don't understand hate watching something, because the computer and the signals, it just gets picked up as a view. So even if you hate watching it, they're just like, people are watching it, you know. Jules says, RJ, are you saying Vampire Hunter D, new meaning to sucker the vampire? Is she hot at least? The Japanese are still appeal to the male gaze. I agree, but I could also watch anything from Miyazaki. Is that Studio Ghibli? I love Studio Ghibli. I really do. And yes, I'm a newcomer. I discovered them with Spirited Away.
Yeah, Spirited Away is a little bit disturbing in its undertone, but it's a really good story.
Really? What? Now I'm just curious. What? It's disturbing in like a bad way? In what way?
I've seen some people try to dissect it, because you're looking for stuff from Japan, and they often have like a bit of the story that comes from the artist's life, and they say it's a lot more about sort of like mental illness and things like that, you know, with the dark shadow being and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. There is something disturbing about it. I like how alien it is to me. Like Japan to me is the closest I'll ever get to being on another planet. I'm not a weeb, but I'm willing to learn. I in the past 5 years, I've become kind of infatuated with Japan, and lately, since Twitter has just automatically translated and reading tweets from I don't know if it's like misleading, if that's a small minority, but these people love America. They seem incredibly based, and the fact that they're like get rid of all the Muslims, and I want Japan to be Japanese, and I want England to be England. I want to go to England, and I want to see a guy in a pork pie hat, twirling an umbrella with a double-decker bus, and they're eating stupid beans on toast. When I go to France, I want a guy with a black and white striped shirt with a French bread under his arm going, wee, 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 wee. You know what I mean? When I go to Italy, I want people pinching girls' butts. And, I want the stereotypes in every country. When we become this homogenized country, that's boring. Just somebody said that, I think it was just in this chat, that the color is just going away. Movies have less and less color. Everything is just bland. I don't know. I want to go to Japan and see Japan. I want to go to England and see England, if that makes sense. Sorry, you just got me ranting.
Well, funny. Yeah, I think it's the same thing, but I think of it in the fact that when we were kids, even when we were teenagers and into our 20s almost, but there was like a forbidden half of the world that you didn't go to, right? It's behind the Iron Curtain, or anything close to the Iron Curtain is like there's a forbidden part of the world that nobody goes to. I can remember because it was in Taekwondo, and they wanted to send me to Korea, and this is like 1992. Right. And my parents are like, nope, you're not going there. Because it was like, besides the fact that it's that close to China, it had political instability that just threw over their military dictator, I think, in the early 90s. And they're just places you didn't go.
Right. Yeah. I remember one of my friends that I made out in Albuquerque, he was in the military when he was stationed in Europe, and he went to Russia, during the Iron Curtain time, and when he came back, he got investigated by the army. He was in the army. Why'd you go to Russia? What did you? He's like, just kind of fascinated. I wanted to go. It's like he basically said what I said, because it's as different as I could go to and still be on Earth. Some people are just fascinated by different cultures. He was fascinated by Russia. Goblin Slayer is the last anime I watched. Don't have a drive to see. A guy at work was watching Goblin Slayer, and it looks cool, but I'm afraid to get into anime because then the last bits of free time will be dissolved. When I get into things, I get way into things.
Basically, skip the first episode and maybe, a couple of scenes from the season finale, because Goblin Slayer and a lot of ones that are around that basically were looking for shock value, and they would try to shock you with the very first. Get you for another season and things like that. But in the middle, they're really well done storytelling. Hey, do what you can do to get people to bring your audience in, I guess.
Does anyone remember the movie Ready Player One, a movie that lived? It was all references to other things. It did not interest me in the slightest. And at the time, I had a D&D group of everybody was in their 30s, and they were like, "We all gotta go. We all gotta." I was like, "Go and enjoy it." And they just talked about it. It just looked dumb to me. It's just like it was like, here's an oldie Oldenson reference. It's probably too old even for RJ, but like Carol Burnett show. Does anybody remember the Carol Burnett show? Every once in a while, they would just do a commercial episode, and it was just them referencing commercials. And I thought it was the funniest thing. It was my favorite thing. But you had to get it. You had to be current on the current commercials. Otherwise, it wasn't funny. That's what Ready Player One was like. I didn't watch any of these cartoons and stuff like that, or whatever other movies, scary movies and stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to go watch a movie about references about other stuff that I don't. So I was never interested in it. Did you see it?
I did not see Ready Player One. No, again, like you, it was just, I'm not entirely sure why I would want to see that. It's trying to fondly remember these things, whereas I'm still participating in these things. I'm still pulling out old movies, VHS and DVDs and records and things that I still use those things.
So Arkham is saying that Arkham's going through a hard time. He just he showed pictures. His arm is all swollen and beat up. He was just moving. And like all of us, we still think we're young and immortal, and he hurt himself. So take care of that arm, buddy. Hope everything works out. And my wife is the person who prays in this house, so she'll include you in the prayers. Excuse me. I need prayers. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. So what do you want to like? Are we talking about anime? Do you want to talk about anything else? Here's more comics that I do. Comics Rockefeller Zero. Just
I'd say we just keep on going with whatever we're talking about.
okay. Powers. Anybody want to ask questions in the chat? Powers. This is Brian Michael Bendis, whom I don't like when he's writing for Marvel or DC, but this series I really did like. It's cops in a world where there's superheroes, so it's cops investigating superpowered crime, and it was really, really good. It ended, it ran its course. He ended it on his own terms, and now he brought it back. But now everybody's black and everybody's a lesbian, and everybody, you know, and the one white character from the first series who came back loses her badge and she's a moron. I'm just like, enough's enough, Brian Michael Bendis. Like, I thought you was destroying Marvel and DC so people would buy your stuff because it was well written, and now your stuff is just as woke. Bowel movement Bendis. There you go. VHS was indeed a good. The first VHS, that is an awesome movie. If it's the movie that I'm talking about, it's a movie where it's a bunch of short movies where there's like the premise is somebody found an old VHS and all the movies are tied together through this VHS test. Oh man, that was a really good movie. One of the last horror movies I watched, because I don't watch movies that much anymore. I like
I keep on thinking of UHF. You're talking to VHS. I'm thinking he's talking about UHF. No, that.
Oh, you're talking about the Al Yankovic movie.
Yeah, I was confused there for a minute.
Specialist Zorro. I've always liked Zorro. Me and my wife just watched the Catherine Zeta-Jones Zorro movie. That was really good. I really liked it.
I don't know. Are there like pulp books for Zorro like there are for, you know, the Shadow and things like that?
Comics. Well, I'm reading the first Shadow novel. I just started that tonight. Where is it? It's in my bag upstairs.
Anybody in the chat, if you know if there are pulp books for Zorro and if they're in English, if there are.
Oh yeah. Zorro is from a book. I forget the author, but yes, Zorro was in a book. You know, I want to read those books. That's next on my list to read. I'm trying to read all the pulps, so at least 1 or 2 books from every pulp, so I can get familiar with it. What is this? Final Boss? Yeah, Zorro means the fox in Spanish. Yeah, he existed in like 1912 California? Is that the time period? Rocketeer is another. You know, I've always liked the Rocketeer. Rurouni Kenshin was a good movie based on the anime. Cool. Oh yeah, UHF. Yeah. Oh, I skipped a comment. The creative doom had pointed out the mistake of science fiction authors was to think that the future will be like their present was, or that everyone will have the same mentality as the author. Yeah, I mean, just look 20 years ago. You know, things that we thought were funny are like we don't mention them anymore. Just look at Marvel Comics. How many like old guys had like 16-year-old girlfriends and wives, and now it's like, ooh, we don't talk about that.
I was just thinking about if someone was to write let's say someone could see 100 years into the future and then wrote a science fiction novel based upon that idea, no one would believe it or want to read it because it would be so foreign that no one would understand it, right?
Right. I mean, look at the 80s. This is your influence rubbing off on me, RJ.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Look at the 80s. You know, they're talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation. They're basically modern 80s people in a spaceship, but I can't. You know, people like. There's no social media. You know, look how important social media is right now. And all I can think of is, well, 400 years later, they got tired of it, you know? So that doesn't bother me too much. I've been getting these Universal Monsters comics. They're like modern spins on them. Yeah. So far, they haven't been woke. But
I say that's one of the good things about the original Star Trek is the fact that what they did was, what his partner got him to do was to try to look to the future by imitating the past, because it was wagon train to the stars, right? So they were looking backwards instead of forwards, and it's just, we'll set it in space.
This is a fun series, Mega Ghost or Mecha Ghost. This is the second series. I missed issue 1, so I can't read this yet, but I gotta get issue 1. It's kind of fun. kind of fun. What is this? An example of those science fiction authors, H.G. Wells, The Shape of Things to Come. Yeah, I read a bunch of H.G. Wells. I went through a big H.G. Wells and Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. Really like them. I got to say,
the problem with reading a lot of that older stuff is a lot of people don't understand that writing and the way people read evolves over time. If you read, something like, I don't know, Last of the Mohicans, right? You get a whole lot of stuff which is, and you go back to Howard and for Conan, there's a lot of stuff where it's a lot of tell don't show, because they didn't have the rule of show don't tell, which is what we have today. And there's a lot more describing things in, again, Last of the Mohicans. There's using original language from like idiomatic language from people of that period and place, which you would never pick up on today. And a lot of people would just put the book down because they don't have the scope to understand the broken English that people are using and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that reading historically accurate stories from 100, 200 years ago, a lot of people find them just too damn hard to read.
Right. I was reading an article online about college kids can't read anything written before 1970. And I find that to be abysmal. Jeez, how you go to college, they should be reading Plato and Socrates and stuff, but they can't even read anything from 1970 and below. That just means do away with colleges. Back in the Revolutionary War times, these illiterate yokels that we make fun of, these guys were familiar with Shakespeare and all of that stuff. They wrote eloquent letters that would put us to shame. And these were farmers, hicks that we laugh at, that got educated for 6 years in a one-room shed, you know what I mean, with some woman who just got off the train. Yep. But now we have United Federation of Teachers, and kids can't even make change. But they know
one of the things. I watched a video about what is it? A list of 10 things people can't do today, and one of them was write cursive, and the other one was another one was make change.
Yep. Who did I just say I was arguing with? And they were talking about being a teacher. I said, "Can you students make change?" And it just ended the conversation. I was like, can you students make change? I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear your demands. I don't want to hear anything. My cousin. Have you ever read the series with Dave Fincher, Robert Kirkman, Skin Breaks? Yeah, I was just picking it up right here. Oh, too bad Arkham went to bed. He's the one who told me to get this. So my first issue is issue 8. So I can't read this until I get issue 1 to 7.
Because John's a crazy person.
Yeah, I'm crazy. Well,
I would be the exact same way.
I got so many comics. I'm not going to just start reading. And this surprised me. A new Elric series. I love Elric, so I had to pick it up. Who is this? I don't even know who the writer is. But I hope it's good. Titan has been pretty good so far. And I love these Hellboys in Love. I get a kick out of them. And I'm really loving all of these secondary Hellboy characters in the Hellboy universe. Although I fear for them now, because Dark Horse just got bought out by somebody else. They got rid of the president, and now I heard that they might be shutting down printing. I don't know what's going on. This is Final Boss. So it's a boxing. It's a fighting comic, but it's basically some guy made up a video game but made it into a comic book instead of a video game. So far, I'm like, have you been reading this at all, Geiger? This is
What's that?
One of my favorite. This is Geiger by Jeff Johns. I know there's a glare,
No.
but this is one of my favorite new comics. It's really good. It took a while for me to get interested in the world building, but I'm really liking it. And this is a bizarre comic, Tigress. The tone is all over the place, but it's basically like these call girls, super beautiful. The art is really stylistic. These are supposed to be beautiful women, even though they kind of look like aliens, but that's the stylistic. He's like a cartoony, but it's these call girls. They all go to this rich guy's house, and they basically go to an island, it's like Epstein Island, and now they have to fight each other. So it's like a survival fight club. And it should be terrifying, but it's like Josh Whedon quippy, so the tone is off. And people are like, oh yeah, that's what I like about it, because it's such a horrific premise. I'm like, I wanted a horror comic, so I was kind of, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. These Witcher comics are awesome. I will say this right now, the Witcher TV show is horrible. Absolutely horrible. It's one of the worst things I've ever watched. Everything about it except for Henry Cavill. And I like the blonde girl. I think she's okay for what they gave to her. But I don't like the Indian actress, and I don't like anybody else. The show is edited bad. It's written bad. The dialogue is terrible. Everything about that show just stinks. But these comics, it introduced me to these comics, which are awesome. So there you go. If you want some fantasy comics, get the Witcher comics.
I think John just lit upon a really important thing that we're missing. Talking about things that we can no longer do today, or people no longer do today, not just making change or reading a clock with a face or, writing in cursive, but one of the really essential parts of good storytelling that has died a horrible death is editing. And you can see it in the movies and television shows and everything that gets produced today. It's edited so flippin' poorly that someone with a master hand as an editor could possibly put these things together correctly and make them a good show or a good movie. But, I'd say like at least 1/4, if not 1/2 of whether or not your show or your comic or any other piece of media is going to survive is whether it's edited well.
Yep, I agree. Alexandra makes a comment. We were just talking about how like books written a while ago can't be written today, but Dr. Moreau, they meet a goat man and they go off on him because they say he looks Jewish. It's funny that you said that, because I just finished reading the Scarlet Pimpernel, and I watched one Scarlet Pimpernel movie. I picked it because it had Jane Seymour in it, who's one of the most beautiful women to ever exist in the movie. I couldn't stand the actor who played the Scarlet Pimpernel. I know he's supposed to be an effeminate fop, but he did it too well that he was completely unlikable. But anyway, I read the book, and in the book, one of the big plot points is the French don't like Jews and the anti-Semitism. If they make this movie, how are they going to make that? Like, if they make it now, because like, spoiler alert, the Scarlet Pimpernel, like in the movies, he's always sword fighting, but in the book, he's a master of disguise and he avoids fighting. Nobody knows who he is because he's always he disguises himself as like a Jew, and he's like repulsive, and he's like almost like Smeagol, just like, you know what I mean? And so nobody would suspect that he's this handsome 6'3" hulk of a man, because he just takes this bad posture and everything, but even his wife got tricked by it. But I wonder, how would they do that? They can't, because
no, they can't, and they would be missing out. I think it wouldn't be any way historically accurate, because the whole point of historically accurate, especially in that time, ways that Jewish people would live would be almost sequestered from the rest of the city. Even their houses were built differently, so that everything, like all of their windows and everything, would look inwards to a courtyard, because they didn't want people to see what they were doing.
That's in the book. The fact that they nobody expected a Jew to be working with this Frenchman. That's the whole plot point, is that the Jews, they're sequestered, they're despised, and even the good people are just like, thanks for the help, don't touch me. You know what I mean? So that I think it is pretty accurate from what I've been reading. But how could you do that? And I was reading a book about I forget who it was, but he goes to Brazil and he's talking about slavery in Brazil and how it was 100 times worse than slavery in America. Just whipping people in the streets. Like in America, believe it or not, there was actually laws on how to treat your slaves. And if slaves died, they had an autopsy. If a black slave died, you had to have or at least somebody investigate. But if an Irish slave died, no, nobody cared. because the Irish slaves were going to go free anyway, but the black slaves were property. You know, I like Mecha Ghost, but the female characters have two masculine jaws and flat chests. They should be more distinguishable. I don't. The first series was fun. I missed issue number 1, so I haven't read it yet. I got to get issue number 1. Yeah, it's like a kaiju powered by a ghost. It's like the ghost of a robot or something like that. It's like a children's cartoon show made into a comic book. Yeah, it's a shame about Dark Horse. As far as I'm concerned, Dark Horse was like the fourth, Marvel, DC, Image, and then Dark Horse. And I have a feeling that Dark Horse won't be around in a year. The company that bought it is famous for like buying companies and stripping them down and then selling them off, right? Well, that showed off all of my new comics for the month.
Dark Horse was the, well, that's exactly what it was. It was the Dark Horse for comics. You never thought it would do well, and then they got all of these movie franchises like Predator and Aliens and things like that, and they built their company off the backs of these comics, which people were waiting years and years for, like new Aliens content, right? And Predator stuff, things like that. And they took that, I guess, which we don't have anymore, that need for people to fill the gap between when one movie would come out and the next, which you never knew when it would be, and gave the audience that wanted that material. And I think that built Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah, Dark Horse was like a premier company. It was a prestige company, if you ask me. And now the only thing that comes out of it that I'm excited, well, I take it back. I still love these Usagi Yojimbo, but like Hellboy and Usagi Yojimbo, like I hope they land on their feet. I mean, I'm sure Image Comics or anybody would be happy to take either one of them. They're established brands.
The funny thing about Dark Horse, though, was, to me anyways, I don't know if anybody else would feel this way, but the haphazardness of the material that Dark Horse would put out was part of their brand, basically. Like everybody else, Marvel and DC, and everyone who was trying to copy them were trying to do the Marvel thing with continuity and trying to pull things together. Dark Horse did not care. It could put things out hell, west, and crooked, and with different kinds of stories in different ways, and it wasn't something that a comic publisher for America did at that time.
Yeah, Dark Horse manages to get unionized, can bankrupt them or save them. We'll see. I don't think it's going to save them. I'm a union worker, and I know people have problems with union workers, but I think in some trades a union works. Like actors, they don't have steady jobs, so they have a union, and the union, reps or whatever, the union will recommend them to different jobs. That's the way it is with construction. Constantly a job ends, and I go someplace else, or in New York. That's what the union really does. Is so I don't have to go up to construction sites and give a resume every time a job's over. Oh my God, I never would have continued doing this. But a comic, if you're the secretary of a company, what do you need a union for? Especially, what do they make, 6-7 comics a year? It's just going to bankrupt Dark Horse. It's just going to bankrupt Dark Horse. And comics right now is the worst time in the world for this kind of stuff. A rising tide floats all boats, but comics are at a low tide right now. I think the lowest point in the history of comics. They published the Dracula movie that Mignola did, as well as that wasn't Mignola. That was why can't I think of his name? The guy who did the Hellboy movies. It's gonna drive me nuts that I can't think of his name. The director. What do you think of the webcomic phenomenon of the early 2000s? I never read them. I don't want to read comics online. I had to be coerced into offering digital versions of my comics. So I never read any of the web comics. That's just driving me nuts that I can't. Del Toro. That's his name. Yeah,
he did a Dracula. Benicio del Toro did a Dracula. Is that what you're saying?
Didn't he just do a Frankenstein? That shows you how sleepy I am.
Oh yeah,
I didn't see it. Anybody see it? Was it good? I just can't stand that actor. I can't think of his name. The guy who played Poe Dameron. You know, it was Poe Dameron, the world's greatest pilot, who did absolutely nothing in those movies. So, you know what I mean? Like, talk about telling, not showing. Everybody told me how great Poe Dameron was, and he did nothing. I thought Mignola drew the comic. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know. Not Pedro Pascal. Jeez. He was the Mandalorian. Can you believe that a Star Wars movie just bombed?
Oh, I can believe it. After all those things I covered on my channel for the last 6-7 years.
Star Wars is over. It's done. Throw dirt on it. You know what's funny? Is that there's more excitement for the re-release of the original Star Trek movie in the original theatrical release. People are like getting excited for that. It just shows you people love Star Wars, myself included, but they squandered it. They wasted it. Oscar Isaac, thank you. I couldn't think of that guy's name. I just don't like him. I almost called you Renzo. RJ, have you ever just had an irrational hatred of an actor or an actress? My friend's mother would freak out when Maury Amsterdam was on TV, which used to happen a lot 40, 50 years ago, but not so much anymore. But like, oh my God, like she would turn off the TV. My day was ruined. I saw Maury Amsterdam. If you don't know, he was one of the writers on the Dick Van Dyke Show. I'm like, oh. And my Aunt Rose would just get pissed off if Joyce DeWitt happened to be on her screen.
I can't say off the top of my head I've had that experience. I know people that have had that experience. I know people that would not go see the Marvel movies at all because one of my friends, she hated Nick Fury.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson. She hates him with a passion. So, after he appeared in the first couple of movies, she's like, done. Not watching any of these ever again.
Yeah, like Oscar Isaac. I don't know. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know any of his politics. But just something about his face, I'm like, I hate this guy. Like I said, I don't know anything about him. Like Pedro Pascal is just so unlikable, but I don't know what it is. Oscar Isaac drives me nuts. I can't explain it. It's irrational. The Back Room is #1, a little independent movie that beat men. Yeah, I'm happy about that. I didn't know about this movie. I literally don't know what's in the movie theater. I think we were talking about this last week, how my wife and I used to love to go to the movies. We'd go to the movies at least once a week. We'd go to the movies. We'd go to an early movie. We'd go to dinner. There's nothing worthwhile. I don't even know what's playing anymore. I never heard of this movie, The Back Room, until all of a sudden it's like the biggest hit. But I do like that it's a small, independent, non-Hollywood. Like, I love when stuff like that happens. Like when the what's the name of that movie? The witch one, the Blair Witch Project. Somebody made it for like $14 and it was like a big hit. I love when that happens. Sometimes Hollywood needs to be scared, and right now Hollywood should be scared.
I agree. And part of the reason why I don't go to the movies anymore is the idiocracy of the people running the multiplex where I am. And because it used to be the multiplex would have giant billboard out near the main road, and you'd be able to, they change it every week. You'd be able to see what movies are in, when they're playing, all that kind of stuff. Then it shrunk down to the front of their building. And, that was something we had to drive in order to go and see what the movies were instead of just driving by on the highway. And then, about 8-9 years ago, they even took that down. So you had to actually walk into the stupid theater in order to, or look online, because they figure everybody's going to look online, right? I'm thinking to myself, no. I mean, if I'm driving my car and I see your billboard and I see something that looks like I want to see it, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too much of an old fogey, too long in the tooth, John.
You're right about that, because I passed by a movie theater and I don't know. There used to be a big marquee and told me what was playing. I don't even see that anymore. You're right. It's just a big building now. I guess they assume that you look it up on your phone, and so they don't. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but you're right. Yeah, now I can't not think about it. There was comment here. Alexandra says Wells wrote in his work that the future people will remember Aldous Huxley as a reactionary. How wrong he was. They are remaking the Blair Witch Project for the modern audience. What is the modern audience? Apparently, the modern audience, I don't know. They're not going to the movies. Just like that. Here's what I wanted to talk about. I'll finish these 2 comments. Disclosure looks like is this a new movie that's coming out?
Yeah, Disclosure is a new one of the new movies out right now.
The last movie we watched was Sheep Detectives, right? Oh, it came out already? It's funny because we saw the trailer for that, and I said to my wife, this is a movie I want to see. It came out already? See? Movies got to spend some money on advertising. I think it was for The Chosen when we went to go see that in the movie theater. I think we saw a trailer for the Sheep Detective, and I said, I want to see that. That looks cute. And the one movie I wanted to see, I missed. Thanks, movies. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about. Did you hear about this DC So White, and there was like a black a boycott because there wasn't any black-led DC comics?
I did not hear about this. It does not sound out of the realm of possibility of the idiots who run DC Comics.
No, it wasn't DC Comics. DC Comics is just making comics. But there was a Black Green Lantern comic, and it ended after issue 12 because the writer, a black writer, has military obligations, and he's just like, okay, I gotta go. Maybe I'll come back and do more issues. So it was like it was canceled for low sales. But this group, I forget who this group is, but it's some Twitter blacktivists, and they were making if I got anything wrong, chat, let me know. But apparently they were trying to make a boycott all the DC comics because DC's so white. And all I got to think of is, how's that work out for you? And then people feel like, you forgot this Green Lantern series came out, right? And they were like deer's caught in the headlight. But anyway, I had to go look at this guy. He's a black guy, and he's got a nose ring, and he's got they, them pronouns. So I was just like, nope. not that I was going to boycott anyway, but it's just like, so you want DC to do what you want to do, but you are this. So basically they wanted more left-wing black comics. You know what I mean? Because they don't want. So let's just pretend that they make a Jon Stewart, and he's a Christian guy, and he's a nice right-wing guy. They wouldn't accept that. They need more out of their mind left-wing black, gay, transgender black. So it's just like, you're the same people that wanted female space marines. You demand, and then you work in sport. But anyways, somebody said something to them, and they ended up stopping the boycott after like less than a week. It was ridiculous, and it was funny. The Grand Utopia is here. Watch the schlock and give a cheer. I'm just, like I said, my Twitter circle is just getting smaller and smaller. I watch less and less YouTube. It's just like I said, I really do think that the powers that be are just shooting the demoralization rays at full power right now. So the only defense I have is to just not partake.
John's getting outside and touching grass.
Yeah, well, I've been working a lot. I've been working on average like 40 hours overtime for the past couple of weeks, so I haven't really had time to watch anything. DC have their Pride book where she goes to die. Latest victim in Wonder Woman is trans. I really love the idea that an island full of women that, according to the version, like the George Perez version, is these women were their souls were plucked because they were victims of spousal abuse or whatever. So they're women who were killed by men and then went to the Amazon, rebodied, and grew up, and now they're going to allow a man on the island because he thinks he's a woman. Yeah, I think if I was to write the Amazons and some guy shows up, I'm a woman just like you, it would be like Sentinel Island. There just would be spears on him before he even dried off. He would just be like dead on the beach with spears sticking out of him. The Amazons don't play that game. Oh, here you go. Jim O'Reilly has a great idea. We need to do a comic like Green Lantern, except its nose rings give that power. There you go. There you go. Have that black guy who organized the the DC So White blackout or whatever. There you go. He has the Green Lantern nose ring. Jim O'Reilly. There you go. You got yourself an idea.
I think it's all coming back full circle. We're going back to 1960s, 1970s. Every black character has that black in their name.
Yeah, and then up until like 2015, all black males had to be bald. Diversity. Well, all the black characters look exactly the same. I don't know if you've seen Mario Galaxy. No, I haven't. But the movie gets it wrong. The story moves the characters, not the other way around. It's a series of sketches tied together by chance. I didn't even know it existed. I've seen a lot of propaganda focused towards us Gen X kids. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the demoralization beams. Oh, by the way, there's a guy who called True Fan Forum. Check him out. He's got like 14 followers and he's got like 3 views per video. But he's just commenting on all my videos, just being the most arrogant prick. And RJ, me and you are fake comic book fans. Just to let you know. We don't know anything about comic books. Only he's the true fan. He knows.
John, you read more comic books than anybody I've ever
right.
met.
What do I know? I got 65,000 comic books because that's what fake fans do. And it's funny because I clicked on his videos, and his very first video is, I'm so tired of all the negativity in comic book space. I'm here to be a voice of positivity. And then he writes these like novels of just nasty. So I just been like, dude, you're not coming here to get attention. So I just said, here's my response to you. You got 4 hours to read the response. Then I'm deleting all your comments. He's the only person I've ever deleted their comments, just because I think he's just commenting on our videos just to get attention.
That's funny. He might be commenting in mine as well. I usually get like, there's probably 2 or 3 people that hit every one of my videos and then downvote it. And I never, for the life of me, ever even think to look at the held comments anymore. I stopped looking at the held comments about 5 years ago, but one slipped through the cracks there. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where the guy was talking about shooting me. I was thinking, okay, YouTube, you let that one through the cracks, but you won't let people say other naughty words. Okay.
It's since you mentioned shooting, I got to say, like the Charlie Kirk murder, that really opened up my eyes about how bad the left is. Like, you got like school teachers and housewives cheering a guy that got killed in front of his family for merely opening up a discourse. Like, to me, that's just shows you that there's a gulf between the political and we're the good guys. The conservatives are the good guys. That completely opened my eyes. Any doubts that I may have had, because we're the ones willing to talk and do this stuff. They want us dead. So that was an eye-opening experience. I don't see how we could fix it other than just like we need like 20 years of just like I want Trump to become the tyrant that the left feels that he is, and just like we started putting judges in jail, and just change the culture for 20 years. What is this? Regarding the propaganda aimed at young people, the cartoons of my childhood, good and evil were accepted rather than according to the Christian. Yeah, everything. I'm everybody's asking me how I feel about the He-Man movie. I'm too old for He-Man. I hated He-Man. Don't get mad at me. So I'm not excited. I don't care. But does anybody actually think this is going to be a good movie? I mean, it's still the woke era. I think like we're leaving it, but anything made right now, maybe it'll escape it, but I have no faith that it won't be woke.
I think the saving grace is that these movies that are based on nothing but nostalgia and revamping the same old thing over and over again are getting beaten out by tiny little independent movies that have an actual original story. Like, I don't know, what's his name? Marco Plyer made a movie, and it was basically done in one room, and it was a science fiction based thing that did really well, stuff like that. There's one saving grace to, I won't say Hollywood because Hollywood is done, but movie making, it's the fact that the original story movies are the ones that people seem to be gravitating towards. Finally.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are tired of remakes and the same. Like how many times do I need to see Uncle Ben die, or you know, Batman's parents getting shot in the alleyway with the pearl necklaces falling down and dropping? You know, it's like, okay, move on. Let's do something. Let's do something new. You know, I hate this. I can't believe I'm actually tired of the Marvel movies. You know, I'll gladly see them if they make them good.
That being said, I wasn't never into He-Man either, but there are some good runs of comics based upon the He-Man property. They're probably about 10, 15 years old now, but you know, at the very least, there can be good stories made out of that property.
I just went to look to see if there's any held comments on my videos. No held comments. So I was just curious if there was any like threats that I didn't know about. No. He just says no. I don't know what it was. But He-Man. There you go. Oh, wow. Alexandra, you have another idea. We got the Green Lantern with the nose ring, and then we could make the 2026 hero, He-Man. There you go. Coming up. Hollywood, pay us. Pay us. We got great ideas over here. That's good.
I'm just wondering if this guy is finally going to pull off becoming mayor of LA. The independent guy.
Not unless the federal government gets involved. That is just. How the hell does California pass the anti-Nick Shirley Act? You know, we're going to pass a law that restricts the free press, and then all the liberals are cheering for it. Yay! You know, I never met anybody more fascists than liberals, and now they just basically passed a law that says like you can't investigate these mail-in ballots. What is going on? What is going on? Part of me just says let LA die, just let it. You know, you get what you deserve. Like I've already cut my loss on New York. Me and my wife are pretty much investigating where I'm going to retire to in like 2 more years. The more she likes the place that I picked, she's been researching it, and she's like finding the block that we're going to live on. So, you know, right in the middle of right in the middle. When we're not going to California, we're not going to New York. Give you a hint: they don't tax your pension. He-Man being good, yeah, I don't think. Oh, yeah, okay. You don't think it's going to be any good? Oh. We'll skip that comment. Mark Parler's movie Iron Lung. See, I'm glad that people are excited about movies, and I'm glad that they're small independent films. I think that's great. I want to see the whole Hollywood. I just want to see Hollywood fall apart. You know, I want Mark Ruffalo to work at a In-N-Out Burger.
And the funny thing was, there was the article, I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago that I ran across it, was all these older actresses complaining that they can't get work anymore in Hollywood. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, I wonder why. First of all, old actresses never really got a whole lot of work to begin with. And then you add in all the nonsense going on.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson, stop working. Go have some babies. You know, enough's enough. You played. Go have a family now. What it drives me nuts is 40-year-old actresses who all of a sudden complained about being objectified. Scarlett Johansson, if you didn't look like that, you'd be a dental assistant. You know, I was objectified when I played the Black Widow. The Black Widow is supposed to be a sex object. That's her whole power. That's her main power. Batman's a detective. Black Widow is the sexiest woman on earth. You took that role, you know, so shut up, Scarlett Johansson. Again, if you didn't look like that, if you didn't have a body like that, you'd be a cashier at a Walmart. So shut up. Go count your $25 million per movie in the bank, and realize that you have it better than anybody who's ever existed in the history of the world. Except for the average white man, because we have it the best. You know, 46 hours overtime is nothing. It's, you know, it's cake. I'm trying to escape LA before it kills me at 32. LA fire's got nothing on the potential big. Yeah, the earthquake. Yeah. And then you can
LA
move to
LA has become basically Logan's Run. I guess that's what the gamer is saying. You get to be 32 and you got to go to the recycling bin.
yeah, after the big one pissed off Passionate Gamer, then you can move to Otisburg. Does anybody get that reference? Scarlett Johansson's like half Jewish. He shouldn't be bringing in more. Liberals think a priori they are the good ones. Therefore, every action they take is automatically good. Yeah, absolutely right. Yep, right. Yeah, I do think you're absolutely right. You're just jealous they're remaking Escape from New York. I'm all on board. If like instead of you're the Duke of New York, you're A#1. They have you are Mendami, you are the socialist one, and everybody's fleeing New York because of the socialist mayor. That
are they remaking the entire thing, or are they doing a new story? Because if they're doing the old story, the Duke of New York, how much you want to bet that they're going to race change him to white?
Probably, so many people move from California to Arizona. Yeah, I was thinking about retiring to Arizona just because I love that hot, dry climate. But there's too many Californians. They're just going to turn it into California. So I'm not moving there. Can you imagine being brown? White men have it the best. Unless you get murdered in the streets and then the cops put handcuffs on you while you're bleeding to death if you're white. I mean, the American and so far the British and the French legal systems are there to make it so that white people can be killed in public. Right? I mean, can anybody argue with this? Like, I love all these people saying, "Oh, the cops they kill all the black." No, the cops are there to prevent the white people from defending themselves. The biggest hoodwink in the world is that white people have any sort of advantage. Again, you're talking to a guy who worked 86 hours last week. At our construction site. Who broke his neck last year. White privilege. I laugh at anybody who thinks that white people have any privilege. What privilege do we have? We get to be invaded, and our culture gets destroyed, and our very high trust society is now a low trust society. White privilege is us growing up colorblind and everybody else hating us. So there you go. I know a San Francisco policewoman who celebrated what happened to Charlie Kirk. I've been trying to find a way to get a fight. Yeah, the left are evil. What do you want me to say? That to me was the biggest. And again, I never heard of Charlie Kirk. Well, I heard of him. I thought Charlie Kirk was like a Steven Crowder. I thought he was just like one of these annoying people who go to college campuses and bother people for internet views. That's honestly what I thought about the guy. It wasn't until he got shot and then my wife started showing me videos when I realized what he really was. And I just got madder and madder and madder watching the people's reacting to this guy. As far as I know, only 2 liberals said anything like, and I can't believe I'm going to say something nice about Bill Maher, but that guy's about this close for being a conservative these days, where he was just like, what are we celebrating? A guy got shot and all he did was talk to people. And he called them out. He says, the liberals all say that they want a dialogue, and the one guy wanted to have a dialogue, you shot him. So I can't believe I'm defending Bill Maher, pot-smoking moron. What do you think of the mix of horror and superheroes? In my opinion, they don't work because superheroes embody power fantasy while horror is powerless fantasy. That's a good observation. RJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it is a really good observation. I have had problems with horror comics for a long time. A lot of them don't work at all. I think suspense comics to some extent work, but at the same time, there's an element to horror that doesn't last or stand the test of time. If you ask me, a lot of different horror, when you watch it the first time, it's like, I'm done. I don't want to see that again. There's no need to see that again. And something like, we're just talking about John Carpenter's Thing. And I can watch that over and over again, right? There are certain movies that I'll watch over and over again that will be considered fantasy horror or sci-fi horror or stuff like that. And it's to some extent a whodunit. And you have a whole bunch of different elements, different kinds of movies. But a lot of horror, I find, just has a shelf life of, I don't know, a goldfish. And, it'll be here today and maybe tomorrow, but not last very long. And one of the things, again, we're talking about continuity in superhero comic books, especially for North America, is to try to tie the history of it to to have people want to go back and read the stories. I don't know. So I don't think horror fits in that well. Not really for me.
Yeah, I agree, but I disagree. How's that for a wishy-washy response? Um, and the reason why I'm disagreeing is because when I wrote the sequel to the Mary Sue story, which will be in Heroic Tales 3, and when I was done writing it, I said, this is it's a horror comic. This is a horror superhero comic. And then I have the Raven story, the first, which will probably be in Heroic Tales 4, and I made it a horror comic, but whereas the Raven is the monster, the horror, like he's stalking all the villains, so he's Jason taking out the campers one by one, except but I think horror could work in anything, because anything could be scary, but for the most part I do agree with you. I do agree with exceptions. And I will say that I don't really rewatch horror movies over and over again, because most of the things that scare me is you don't know what's going to happen, and then once you know what's going to happen, a lot of the fear goes away. Whereas like comedy, a lot of the comedy, because it's the absurd situation. So like I'll watch a comedy movie, laugh my ass off, and then like 4 years later I'll watch it, but I won't laugh as hard because I know but I'll appreciate the timing and the acting and stuff like that. But like a horror movie that scared the pants off me, 5 years later I could watch it to appreciate the story, the special effects and stuff like that. But it's never as scary,
I think Alessandro is absolutely right, though, because the fact, if you have this horrible thing that's going to happen and you have a hero that's going to take the entire thing and turn it around so that he defeats the evil, then it's no longer going to be a horror movie. No one would see it as a horror movie, and that's kind of the problem. Superheroes are someone walks in and solves a problem with superpowers or something else, whereas powerless fantasy is exactly right what horror is for a lot of people. That's why we're talking about Robert E. Howard and old ways of telling stories. I have said many a times that it's one of the what is it, the Red Tower, the Tower, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but his story, where one of the first stories that he wrote of Conan, where he basically goes downwards into hell, that is more of a horror story than many horror stories that I have read. And the reason why it works as a horror story, because he is not a hero in this story, in the fact that he just turns around and gets out of there. He just, he realizes at some point he's descending into hell, and he can, every time he goes downward trying to find a way out, he just gets into horrible and more horrible places. So he turns around and says, I got to get out of here, and goes back to the original door and tries to find a way out that way. And that's why it works as a horror. And that, at the same time, I think of Conan as a hero, because you'd never get this in a modern day story, because it would have to be wrapped up and something would have to be connected. But in these older stories, no, this is just a sidetrack, and he goes down into hell and then comes back. Is like, I'm not going any farther that way. That's my spiel for Conan for today.
Vaz has a great comment. Horror back then was mostly tension and suspense. Horror today is shock and gore. I do agree. And like the movies with tension and suspense, I think I could watch them again and still get scared, because I can appreciate, especially if it's like, like a universal fear, but like shock and gore, you're like, oh, and then, it's not scary anymore. And most horror movies aren't scary, like, I don't know. I think the gore is not horror, if that makes sense. I still think one of the scariest movies ever made is Rosemary's Baby. That's one of the few horror movies I can watch over and over and over again, even though it's Roman Polanski, who's should be beaten with rebar. But the movie itself is like, I've seen it before I knew about Roman Polanski, and then I call me a hypocrite for watching it again. But it is a phenomenal movie, because like this conspiracy of this poor girl who's just trying to do the right thing, and everybody's in on it, and wherever she goes, like these people just, it's almost like she's a pinball, and they're just the bumpers putting her back into her, and then she just Stockholm syndrome becomes part of it. I find like her individuality just gets destroyed. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying movie, and I can watch it over and over again and still get scared. But Friday the 13th movies, this is where Jason comes out and sticks a machete in somebody's face. Once you know that's going to happen and you've seen it, it's not scary anymore.
Here's a good question. So Jim says a little bit later on, Japanese authors do horror in manga well. Now, Japanese authors do horror. They do a lot of body horror because a lot of the Japanese mentality is based upon basically the end of World War II, where they got bombed into oblivion and people got mangled through radiation and all that kind of stuff. So they do a lot of body horror. But here's my question for the chat. Does anybody think that they can still do real body horror for movies and television anymore now that they have CGI for everything? If it's not practical effects, is body horror even going to work correctly? I don't know if it will.
I don't know. I like I said, I don't know manga too well, but this comment kind of got me thinking. People praise the Backrooms movie. That's the new one. I literally didn't even know anything about it until like 2-3 days ago, and now all of a sudden it's a big phenomenon. Is it worth watching, ladies and gentlemen? What is it even about? I don't even know. But good luck making an old-fashioned Bronson, Stallone, or Arnold-style action movie. One would get arrested just for writing the script. I didn't even realize this until this comment came on. The action movie all but disappeared. The male, like what Mission Impossible, right? Top Gun came out like a couple of years ago, and that did phenomenally well. But even James Bond movies aren't really action movies anymore. Like he's crying and missing his wife, and the black girl's driving around on the back of a moped, and but like a good old fashioned Sylvester Stallone, we're gonna kill some commies, just one guy killing 600 Asians in one movie. You can't do that anymore. I still can't stop being afraid of Event Horizon. Something about that movie that movie's a good movie, and it should have been better. I wonder if there's like a director's cut of that movie that's better.
There is.
I really, really like that movie, and at the risk of that movie inspired a lot of stuff about my comic books. That Arkham is writing a story that's dealing with stuff that's directly inspired by this movie.
So, John, I won't go too far into it, but there is a director's cut of the movie, which they cut out about, 6 minutes, I think, of basically showing people in hell. And the funny thing that they did in order to create those scenes was they hired basically porn stars to act out the body horror in hell. So I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but so they basically had actors with very specialized skills, to say the least, to act out hell, and that's something that got completely cut out of the movie. And
it makes sense because, if you're going to show people in hell, they're not going to be wearing clothes, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first time hearing about it, but it kind of makes sense. But I don't know. Now you got me interested to know that there's more to that movie, because it's right on the threshold of being great. But I love the premise more than the premise deserves more than that movie delivered. If that makes sense.
If I remember correctly, the thing is they thought that entire scene and a lot of the stuff that got cut from the movie in order to get it into theaters was completely lost, and somebody found an old version of it, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago, that still had the original scenes in it.
That's good. There's another movie that came out around the same time with I think, what's his name, James Spader, that there's a director's cut that adds like 40 minutes to the movie, and it makes it a completely different movie. I'm trying to remember the name of that movie. That would be like trying to do a new Every Which Way But Loose movie. With the monkey. Comedy. Geez, comedy got gutted for a long time. What was the last comedy that was You know, there always used to be just like a cheap comedy movie about teenagers trying to get laid. You know, that was like a standard for like 20 years. And then the politically correctness, you couldn't make movies like that anymore. You know, like college kids spying on college girls getting naked and stuff like. Oh, by the way, I've come to the conclusion that ground zero of everything that went wrong with society is Revenge of the Nerds. You know, Revenge of the Nerds. Like I was a nerd. I was also a jock. I played football in college, but I was also playing D&D, and I was terrified of my two worlds colliding. Yeah, I know that's kind of shitty, but that's the way it was. But Revenge of the Nerds came out. I loved it. You know, oh, the nerds, yay. And now all the nerds run everything, and everything sucks. Like, we needed the jocks were the sandpaper of society that polished off the nerds so that they could function. So once the Revenge of the Nerds came out, everybody got cool with nerds. And then, of course, the girls get interested in whatever's popular. Oh, the guys like this nerd stuff. Now I like it, too. So now everybody, and the nerds they didn't run the gauntlet. They didn't go through the sandpaper. They didn't get polished. And now it's just unpolished nerds running everything. And look how society went. So Revenge of the Nerds, you did it. It's your fault. Took a while. Now we got to make a movie called Revenge of the Jocks and restore the proper order. You know, bullying was good. Bullying made people behave. You know, now you got people twerking as they get their diplomas, and it's disgusting. Everything's disgusting. I said on Twitter that most problems in society would be solved if we just picked better sex partners. And boy, the idea of people actually exercising a little bit of self-control and restraint doesn't seem to be too popular with people these days.
People online, John. People online.
Is anyone interested in Godzilla -0? He might be wrecking 50s New York, but it's still New York. I heard that they were good. I got to see them. I've only seen the very first Godzilla movie where they drop the bomb that destroys the oxygen, kills Godzilla. It's a good movie. Was 1952, I think. Black and white. Don't know anything about body horror. I don't like it, but you can't say that because then the body horror people call you a bitch. Meanwhile, they would be calling if you say criminals should be hanged. Yeah, I can't say that liberals are logically consistent. They hired porn stars for an eyeless orgy scene. There you go. Oh my God, there's so many comments. I'm sorry. I thought I was all caught up. Now do the laugh. Bully the nerds. There we go. Nerds. Ogre. Nerd. and then the nerds raped that girl and we're supposed to cheer. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
He puts the Darth Vader mask on and he has sex with the hot blonde. And we're like, good for you, nerd. And you're like, wait a minute, that guy just sexually assaulted this girl. You can't, you know what I mean? Yay. And whatever. Any thoughts on Wonder Woman be replaced by a trans woman in honor of Pride? Yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. Tony, I'm trying to get in touch with you. I want to talk to you about something, Tony. I got a story idea that I think you would be perfect to help me write. And I don't want to say it over the internet. So either activate Twitter or email me or something. I think that's exactly what we need. I think every DC character should be replaced by trans. Everything. Commit to the bit. If you're proud of being gay and oral sex between same-sex genders, make all you copy. Just have Superman having anal sex with the Green Lantern. Do it. Just do it, DC. Commit to the bit. That's what you need to do. That'll sell books.
I got to say, if you want my take on it, the more they destroy original characters, the better it is for John and I to try to sell books.
You know what? Here, I'll do you one better. Make up a new character called the Brown Lantern. And, you can only imagine where he wears his ring. They don't need to make movies about teenager sex because they're already degenerate teenagers. No need to. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, you're right.
Well, that would be the reason for those movies. Is that what you're saying, Alessandro? Or I'm sorry, who was that made that comment? But yeah, you might say that the reason for those movies was to get people to that point.
About the gore in some movies, they put the blood in CGI so they can remove it when they have to release the movie. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And geez, CGI is so bad. Watch those Pirates of the Caribbean movies. You know, the CGI was so good, and now watch the latest Marvel movies. That Doctor Strange movie, Multiverse of Madness. The CGI was terrible. I mean, the movie was terrible, but the CGI was terrible. That would
I
explain.
got to say, I don't like CGI, and I really don't like AI that much. But at the very absolute minimum, you could get somebody making a movie that has actual, let's just say, moral ideas to it, which you would never get anyone in Hollywood to act out today. So, at the very least, that's a possibility.
Backwards Mule says that's Bronze Age perverts take on nerds. Nerds. I would say there's a difference between being sexy and porn, like the difference between tango and the twerk. Yes. Yeah, it's funny because like the conservatives are always saying like, make the women sexy, make the woman attractive. You know, big boobs. You know, a little bit of sex appeal. You know, Renzo. Whenever I have a woman character in my comics, Renzo makes her va 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 voom, but he doesn't make it porn. You know, there's gradations, there's subtleties, you know, there's context. All of that stuff just seems to go out the window.
I'll do the RJ thing. There's a virtue in beauty, and there's a beauty in women. So you can, if you keep that line, there's no problem with it.
Pissed off, passionate gamer says, stick it in any hole. Many holes don't commit. Love is for the weak. STDs are for feminism. Man, yeah, absolutely right. I had a light bulb moment the other day about feminism. So I'm just to make the math easy. We've had about 100 years of feminism, right, from the suffragettes to now, and just think about the accomplishments of feminism. The biggest complaint was, you know, back then women were second-class citizens. They were either just prostitutes or mothers. That was the only careers for feminists. Now, cut to motherhood is discouraged and prostitution is encouraged. Like the original suffragettes would be horrified, in my opinion, about what feminism has accomplished. You know, the suffragettes, I don't think they hated motherhood. I think they just wanted to be able to vote and not be considered like property of their husbands. But now motherhood is discouraged, and as soon as you turn 18, become a porn star on OnlyFans. Like, you know, yay, Susan B. Anthony's so proud of you. You know, and that's really all feminism has accomplished: the destruction of motherhood and the glorification of prostitution. Congratulations, you've done it. Yay.
I think the history of feminism is the history of useful idiots.
Yep. These people are not real nerds, though. These are just NPC people that attach themselves to anything popular. Yep, I agree. That's what Revenge of the Nerds did. It made the whole idea of being a nerd cool. You know, I forget who it was, but somebody was like, "Oh, I'm such a nerd." I was like, "Oh, really? You want to go play Warhammer?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" Nerds. I said, "Everybody wants to be a nerd until it's time to do some nerd stuff." You know what I mean? Like, don't you want to make a genealogy of all the kings of Numenor? No, then you're not a nerd. You know. Right?
Don't you want to sit down for hours and alphabetize your entire, 20, right. 40, 60 boxes, long boxes of comics?
You want to come to my house and divide out my comic book collection by character? No, you don't. Then you're not a nerd. No, you want to watch a Marvel movie for an hour and a half. Okay.
That would be a delight, John.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I keep saying, like, when I hit my $100,000 stretch goal, which I'm not even close, guys, I have the Heroic Tales Christmas special live now on Find My Comic. Check it out. It's awesome. And I would like to get the stretch goal and have people come to my house and do role playing. And it's funny because Matt Barr, he says, "Oh, I'm not going to role play with you guys, but I'm coming to your house and I'm raiding the comic book room. I want to look through all your comics because I'm going to set up a chair." And RJ, you're welcome to come over. Me and you will organize comics all day.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll teach you the proper way to put a piece of tape on a comic bag, John.
Oh, I do it wrong? Because I'll show you.
According to me, because I opened your book, because you packaged the first Heroic Tales, and the only thing that ticked me off about the entire book was I went to open it. It was like, come on, John, you're a comic book guy. How do you not know how to put tape on a comic bag?
So this is how you put a tape on a bag, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
First
he's
off, you got
incorrect,
to get
everybody. Do not listen. John is incorrect.
the Scotch tape that is clear. You know, like I literally pull this tape off. This tape, I pull it off the bags and I replace it with the clear tape, and then I put it horizontal on the bottom, but you can't see.
No. It's got to
How do
go
you
on.
do it?
It's got to go on an angle. Got to go on an angle so that you can open it with your left hand. Everybody.
Oh,
Just to
okay.
let you know.
Okay. But then I'd have to go back and redo 65,000 bags. I ain't doing it.
Well.
That's funny. That shows that you're like me then, that you have a way to put tape on the bag. I appreciate that. Jim O'Reilly says, I would be perfectly okay with new and original gay and transparent characters, but and can see clearly it's about this. Right. I agree 100%. You want gay, you want black, you want trans, you want Latino, you make up new characters. How could black people be satisfied with race swapped characters? Okay, this represents you. You got the sloppy seconds from the white people. Make up new ones. And the reason why they don't do it, I say it probably every week, is nobody wants to put in the work. You know, for every character made up, 100 characters failed. So they don't want their transgender character to fail. So they're just going to take Captain America, swap them out, and ta-da! Now my character has all the gravitas and importance of this character, and he's gay. I call that stolen gravitas, and that's what it's all about. Plus, it ticks off the right people. But they don't want. They're lazy. They just want to steal other people's stuff because they don't have faith in their talent. They don't have talent. And it's not about representation or anything. Like it's about lifting their leg. They just want to pee all over the fire hydrant. Movies like YouTube now focus on content instead of quality. I knew what you meant. The 15th Amendment is far worse than the 19th Amendment. Which one is the 15th Amendment? I get them all mixed up. Who doesn't? That was the reason for feminism, was to destroy society. I'm starting to agree. I didn't used to. I remember when I was a kid, this woman came to the door, canvassing shit with the clipboard and everything. And my mother came to the door. And I was home. I was a little kid. It was like probably around 77 or so. And this woman was canvassing the neighborhood for the Equal Rights Amendment. And my mom, man, did this woman come to the wrong house? My mom read her the Riot Act. And this woman looked horrified. And I was like, Mom, but don't you want equal rights? And she says, it's not about equal rights. She goes, it's about tearing down society. And I'll never forget that. And I remember my two older sisters were like, Mom, how could you? Blah, 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 blah. My mom gave them a lecture. I wish I remembered exactly everything she said. Any thoughts on the Henry Nowak situation? Specifically, how long do you think Keir Starmer will retain power? I thought he was retiring. I thought he was leaving office like a couple of weeks ago. And that piece of crap now is all of a sudden horrified. Didn't this Henry Nowak thing happen in December? And now he's horrified by it because he's a politician. He sees which side the wind is blowing, and now all of a sudden his sail is just turning with the wind. But England, guys, remember what happened to Boadicea? Her daughters were assaulted right in front of her, and then she just led a revolution and kicked the Romans out. This is the Boadicea moment. This is just an important. England, get off your asses and do something. Do something. You get what you tolerate, and I've come to the point where I hate the word tolerance. I've become intolerant. Big Bang Theory, yes, the Big Bang Theory is one of them. Absolutely. I call the Big Bang Theory the minstrel show for nerds, if anybody gets that reference. The dissidents of lefties pushing abortion and trans everything, yet opposing the death penalty. Yep, absolutely. And I see no difference between abortion and Moloch. Sacrifice your baby to Moloch for the good of the crops, the good of society. And then Stevie Nicks, I sacrificed Sarah, my daughter, for my career, which absolutely pisses me off because she was already a multi-millionaire. She says, if I didn't have that abortion, I wouldn't have been in Fleetwood Mac. That was your fourth album. I chased away RJ. I invoked Moloch, and it chased him away. Get started, John. Oh, you hearing me? I'm pontificating. I hope RJ comes back. I would not be perfectly okay with original gay characters. It's all bad unless they're hot lesbians. Made me laugh. My point being is, do whatever you want with your own original characters. Do whatever you want with your own original. I don't have authority over you, but don't take other people's characters. That's not right. They created Yara Flora. Was an okay character from, I don't know who that is. New Big Bang shoot-off show coming. It revolves around Stuart, the comic book shop guy. That guy gives me the creeps. Somebody's got to check that guy's refrigerator for human heads. That guy is just creepy. You know who else is creepy? RJ from the Fourth Age.
Sorry, guys. My router thinks that I won't be using it at 3:30 in the morning and tries to do updates.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I just had to shut down an update too. That's funny. Yeah. Oh, Tony, I just got an email from Tony. A few people sent me emails, and I'm not avoiding anybody. Literally, I've been working 46 hours overtime on top of 40 hours a week, trying to do YouTube stuff and then launching a comic book campaign. So please, if anybody's getting annoyed that I haven't responded or read, a couple of people sent me their comic books or their scripts. And I really, really do mean this, that I want to help. Why? Because everybody helped me, and I feel giving back is the right thing to do. But don't read anything personal. I literally, this is like the worst time in the world for me to be helping anybody, just with all the stuff that's on my plate. If you will be patient with me, I will get to it, I promise. And I don't mind if you send me like a reminder once a week, because my brain is like a what's the opposite of a steel trap?
A sieve.
Yeah, steel sieve. My brain is like a steel sieve. Yara Flor, the Wonder Woman from the future. Oh, Brazilian and sexy. Yeah, I love the art. I didn't read anything about the character, but the way she was drawn looked great. She reminded me of a classic Jose Garcia Lopez Wonder Woman, but with like a more like a Brazilian type costume. But is she a good character? I don't know. My point is, DC doesn't need another Wonder Woman. DC doesn't need another Green Lantern. You know, at one point there was no Firestorm, and now we can't imagine DC without a Firestorm. Make up a new character.
I would say, John, it's a character that exists within a world that is so monumentally screwed up with agenda that it doesn't matter whether or not she's drawn well or not. Of the Yara Flor stuff that I've read, it's completely horrible because of the story. They could make a good character out of it if they could just set their politics aside for 2 seconds.
Well, we already established that you and I are fake fans, according to True Fan.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, him and his 26 subscribers, you know, only they know the way. But I almost feel, and it's a shame, I almost feel that DC is beyond coming back. You know, one Crisis on Infinite Earths, okay, it was the first time it was ever done. They botched it. They could have recovered from it, but then it just seemed like they kept rebooting and nothing matters. Like, and I feel like, I think I talked about this, and maybe I was a little bit too metaphysical, but I feel like DC Comics, there should be just like in a Grant Morrison way. There's all of these universes still exist, or the crisis caused a ripple. So now, you know, maybe some of the, like a sine wave, some of the universes are up and down. Whenever they come down, that is what the focus of DC is. And then the sine wave comes by, and now we got the New 52. And then it comes up, and now we got the the 0 hour, and we got whatever they're called, Heroes Reborn, you know. So I think like they should just establish that like a Watcher or something like that just literally changes the perspective, and we go back to Earth 1 and Earth 2. You know, they still exist, you know, out of sync, and now they're back in sync.
Quite honestly think that, you know, 10, 15 years from now, we'll finally get some of the information of what is going on right now. And my guess is all they're doing is counting down to the time when both Batman and Superman go into public domain, and then everything closes, because once they lose that, there's just no coming back.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not excited. I mean, I don't, because I know like that crazy bastard Richard Meyer of Diversity in Comics. He can't wait for Batman and Superman, and now he's gonna. Oh, now you're finally gonna tell good stories. No, you're not. You're gonna tell bad stories with other people's characters. But that's what I feel like. Oh, Winnie the Pooh just became public domain. So now we got Winnie the Pooh Cannibal, Winnie the Pooh Slayer, Winnie the Pooh Porn Star, Popeye the Slayer, man. They're just using these characters and just telling schlock, low common denominator stuff. I think the same thing's going to happen with Batman and Superman. Like Sherlock Holmes has been public domain so long. I'm sure there's got to be hundreds of horrible Sherlock Holmes stuff that we just don't know about, or I don't know. Because it can't just be that that's the character that people make good stuff. But like, I'm not looking forward to public domain Batman. We're just gonna have so much, oh, now finally Batman's gonna kill, and he's just gonna have a machine gun shooting everybody. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I don't want to use any public domain. If you guys give me the opportunity to keep making comic books, I'm gonna use my own characters. Maybe I'll team up with somebody else's characters, but I don't want to use public domain Batman or Superman. It's not too difficult to come up with your own analogs. Public domain is an ass. Mouse Pie looked pretty fun. Public domain entry. It's the first time hearing about it. Anything you want to say, RJ? I got to go to bed.
I think we need to let John go.
Yeah, I'm ranting and raving now. I'm gonna start saying stuff I shouldn't say. I'm already cursing in front of RJ, which I normally don't like to do.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for staying up in the middle of the night, if that's where you are, for 2 hours listening to us rant about absolutely nothing. So,
yep. We learned about feminism is just about making women prostitutes, and Revenge of the Nerds was ground zero for everything that's wrong with the society. And if I can direct you, RJ's audience, to fund my comic, this is the Heroic Tales Christmas special. It's the most all ages. I know I had some like suggestive stuff in the first 2 issues. This is completely all ages. It's a Christmas story, 2 Christmas stories. King Fu goes to Laos to rescue a Vietnam veteran who's been missing for 61 years. It's called Blue Christmas. It's 16 pages. And then the backup story is the patriarch tells us how to use Christmas magic to make sure that Santa Claus comes to your house. He learned that trick from Santa Claus himself. And so it's 22 pages of story, 24 pages overall with the letters page. If you want a letter in the comic, write to Heroic Mails right now. If you got fan art or anything like that, and I use it, I will buy it off you. I'm not asking for anything for free from anybody. I don't believe in that. I'm not a commie.
Last I checked, John was at, I think, 71% funded. That's everybody. Try and push them over to that 100%.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, please do. Where am I? Good. Yeah, I'm at 71% funded. Yes, which is a little slow because usually I made a couple of thousand in 24 hours. Now I did less than 1,000. So I could use your help. Try to get to the goal. Making comics is expensive. This comic is paid for. So this money is raising money for the next comic, which is almost already done anyway, but you know how it is. If you guys ever stop by Little Rock, Arkansas, I'll run a D&D game for you, nerd. Can I be a sexy dwarven man who runs a bakery and makes cakes for gay weddings? That's what I want to play. Oh, and my lover is in a wheelchair. Is that okay? What are you going to play, RJ?
A gender confused sled. How's that, John?
There you go. A gender confused sled. And no alignments. Alignments is fascism. And I want to be an orc rapper because we all know that orcs are black people, right? Good night, John. Good night, RJ. I need to get my sleep too. Yeah. Yep. Thanks a lot, everybody. Now I'm talking stupid. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, see you all later.
Oh, and go to fun while you're picking up the holiday special, the Christmas special. Oh, and it's mostly done. I got a message while we were talking. I think the last page was just drawn. I got to approve it. Oscar colors it, and then everything gets lettered. And I'm going to get proofs made up real quick so I can show everybody that it actually exists, and it will be shipped. Even if I get it printed, I'm going to wait until like November because I want everybody to get them in early December. So it's happening. You'll get it by Christmas time, guaranteed. Imagine that, guys who make comic books and get them to you when they said they're going to get them to you. You know, that's why I'm no longer in Comicsgate. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye, kids.